I right here. Okay. So let's look at this again, okay? As I was saying, Agnes, you were talking about, what happens if, let's say, the move looks to be narrowing, okay? Now, what I want to see is this is the last move at about $20, but in this particular case, if I were to enter the October contracts, and the October contracts cost about $13 right now, as you can see here, okay? If it costs about $13, and if it's a $20 move the last time around, I think I'm pretty okay, but in theory, I would use my calculations to actually calculate my potential movements and still set my target price based on what am I supposed to be getting over here. So this one looks good. Okay, this one definitely does look good. So it could be something for consideration that we can use on PII to make that particular trade over here. Okay, so that's what I'm going to say. Okay, now besides PII, okay, so that's how I do it. If you're so inclined to, you may actually go back and see this particular move here. And as you can see, this particular cycle over here from April to May doesn't look like that good of a move because it actually got kind of like, okay, I'll do it anyway. Usually it might not be anything spectacular, but this particular quarter from here to here, right? This is something that I don't exactly like because the start point was actually here, as you can see. Do I go down or do I go up? But basically, as you can see here, this particular stock actually, first it went down by about $6, and then it stayed flat for a while, right? And up till the end of the following month, it went up by $7, and then it stayed flat again. So in all honesty, in this particular quarter, I don't know if I should project it here or I should project it here. Of course, if you have the heart to hold on for 2 months over here, it did go all the way here, but it was a $10 move and it was probably not sufficient for you to make any money out of it. And it went back down here again before it actually went up again. So months like that do happen, that this can happen to you as well, right? In any of the trades that we do, definitely it would be like that. Okay? Right? Good. Okay. So in this trade over here, this would be definitely a time value loss, as pointed out by Samshin over here. Yes, it is correct. Okay. Now, another one of you actually noted something about PII. Open interest is 0. Let me just double check that. All right. Now, this is another thing that is of contention for me, because you noted that this particular one was 0 here. I will still be more inclined to actually do the 95, because the 95 in this particular case is the start point, and it does have some open interest in it. And of course, the spread is slightly narrower in this particular case. So 95 is your strike price. Please work with the 95 strike price. It is now trading at 97. It's about $2 away. I would prefer to go about $1 away from 95, so it has to go down to around 96 for you to actually take this particular trade here. Okay. So this is something that we want to look at, and this is something that we need to be consciously aware of, right? So that's it, right? Now, besides PII, someone has asked me, what about Baidu, right? Now, Baidu used to be a pretty impressive IAE stock, so let's just take a look at it and see what the last few cycles have given us, okay? So Baidu's last cycle was pretty interesting. Okay, let's start off with lines here, and start off with another line here, right? Now this was spectacular. Okay, this is day 1. So after market, day 1, day 2, day 3 was here. Now the last cycle of Baidu was mixed. Would you have made money here? Or would you have made money or would you have made money here? Now, in all fairness, I would probably say this is the one. This is 175 to 157. So this is huge. Okay? Redraw that line over here. This particular line over here, Baidu was here. It was about a $17 move in all aspects, $17 move. This here was about $9. This here was about $9, $17 move. This is the last cycle. The previous cycle before that was this, okay? It was actually here. And I believe it's aftermarket as well, though it was, so day 1, day 2, day 3 is supposed to be here. Now, this here would have been a $6 move, but honestly, this would probably be one about $17 move here, okay? And of course, I don't need to see the previous cycle. The previous cycle was way more spectacular than that. It was a 6-month kind of thing. So I think that $17 is Baidu's move, right? If I check Baidu, I look for the October contracts. The October contracts cost about, well, $17, and there you are, right? So if I have an eyeball of a $17 move, I am paying $17 for it. I will not do Baidu as an IAE trade. Even though the trade, this particular stock tends to be able to move quite a fair bit, I am not inclined to actually do it. That's all. Okay, so visually, I am always searching for something that I can relate to. I always have this question: how much can it move versus how much I'm paying for? Now, of course, if you look at this particular trade right now, it can move more than that, but it tends to take a little bit longer to do so, right? So this is the story of Baidu. You can actually use this to actually double check it and see what you'd like to see out of a chart over here in the particular trades that we're doing over here. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so Baidu's trade now is about 158, 160 over here. If I want to take those numbers, I look at, sorry, I'm just looking at the wrong contracts. The October contracts about 160. Now you're going to pay about $16 here. I would say I don't really like it, although it can move more than that. Just watch out for this. Okay, it should be something that you might want to do. Or if you are still unsure, definitely you can virtual trade it and see what happens in next month or so. Okay, right? Now, GS for IAE. This one seems to be pretty fun to look at because the last few cycles was good, right? Thank you for that question. Almost forgot about it. Okay. This is because you see the previous lines that I did with Goldman Sachs over here. You can see that. Right? I'm going to add on to it right now. I will add on to it. Okay. So visually, if I draw the lines, they would be on your TD Ameritrade charts until you erase them. Okay. Until you erase them. So Goldman Sachs here. I don't need to tell you that this does move. As you can see here, it is a big mover, by the way, right? So move from about 167, first move about, this is $9 move, right? So, unfortunately, this is day 1, this is day 2, this is day 3, it's about 161. This stock may have moved away, unless it's able to trade back to about 160 level. Which I think it could be the strike price, by the way. Let me just double check, okay? 160 level. So you can actually take this trade. But this is a $13 trade over here on GS. Looking at this, I prefer PI rather than GS, although I know that GS does move quite a fair bit over here. So this would be something that you can look forward to. I think GS is okay. I would prefer PI in this case. Okay, that's all. Right? Right? Now, Angus, there's a question here. There is a potential range. Do we take that as a reference, or do we look at the chart? Well, there is a potential range, but usually I like to look at the chart and see. That gives me a little bit more, I wouldn't say confirmation, but actually that gives me a little bit more reference point to actually what I want to see over here. Okay? So, some of you are asking me more thicker symbols over here, but you can actually use what I mentioned earlier on, to using this lines over here to gauge what it tends to do, because I find that sometimes looking at the chart over here, it gives me a bit of a reference point to actually see what the stock can actually do. Okay, so since we have these tools over here, you can actually look at that. Now, what I want to share with you also is that the default so-called lines that they give you, if you right click over here, the default one is actually something else. Okay, so you can actually change the color of what you want to do. It actually gives you a solid thin black line, so change that to what you want to see over here. Okay, so I changed it to blue because this is a color that I'm comfortable to see. You can actually use it in your own preference over here. Okay, so I think yeah, main bulk of questions are done. Okay, and another reminder, she says that she'll be posting at 3 p.m. Eastern State Time. I don't know why she's doing it. Apparently she has another webinar. You want to listen to that. Okay, so that's why I say I will not be doing any of the 2 key trades of this day. Alright, and we have to wait and see why is it 3 a.m. I've got to ask her because I don't see that. I don't know why she's doing that actually. Okay. Last question. Someone's asking if potential earnings trade of this one called CK, right, STX. And now just let me just say this. I am not comfortable taking this trade because there seems to be some sort of a leak over here in the last quarter over here. Although it did happen here also, okay, but I will not do this trade. I don't like to do this trade because things like that can happen. Okay, because especially so that if it has gap from, let's say, about 24 to 27, I won't do this trade. Okay, so but this one looks like a potential IAE trade too, as I can see here. This is a huge drop after the earnings. This is some sort of a bit of a climb after the earnings. And this one here, oh, it didn't do anything here. It moved $5 over here. All right, good. So, all right. There are a lot of potential IAE trades if you all have been asking me to look at all these trades. Citigroup looks to be good IAE also, right? Nike looks to be, let me just watch it up and see. Nike's IAE trade is over, everyone, okay? The start point was Nike's move has been made already, so there's no point, okay? So use what I've talked about, use the trend line tool on 2D Ameritrade for you to actually look at it. Right? Of course, alright? They are ready. TDC, mixed bag of results over here. I don't see how we can actually use this, right? But our TDC for earnings, okay? TDC for earnings. They're asking about TDC for earnings. I have never traded this before, alright? Of course, let me just double check this. Okay. Now, for those of you who want to do earnings on stocks you're not familiar with, please go live on the podcast of Virtually Trading. TDC moved about $3 and I don't know what to make of this on TDC here, alright, so just virtually trade it to be sure, okay? So a lot of you are asking me questions about earnings over here. Again, this is not some mainstream thing that I like to do, okay? And, right, one last question on Apple, let me just double check, okay? LinkedIn, Samjin, I have never traded LinkedIn for earnings before, so I'm afraid you might be on your own for that particular one over here, okay? Now, Apple for IAE, is it the third day? Okay. Yeah, it is the third day. You can use 104, 105 as the activating strike over here. Apple for IAE, you can. Now, Apple over here, interesting development over here. This last earnings over here wasn't so good because it went down, up and down, and here went up. But the previous ones seem to be pretty okay so far. So Apple is one that you can look at definitely. Okay? So let me just double check a few things, okay? Okay, I think we're good. Alright, Apple's third day, 3 PII for IAE. Gold is definitely in the works for this particular month. I would prefer the September contracts if anyone is interested. Right, so looks like we're back into business. Weekly hedge over here. It depends on what you want to do. activities are good. Alright, you're good to go for the weeklies, but please drop your numbers and wait for 10:30. And if you are still up at 3 a.m., you may wait for a pushover notice or look at Stock Finder if there are any potential IAE trades over here. Right? So I guess we're done for this particular week. Those of you who want to participate in Gold again, please feel free to reach out. Weekly hedges, please drop your numbers. And if that is done, we get PII and potentially maybe Apple for that. Goldman Sachs is past its move. So I think that's all, right? Thank you all for being online. I will see you again next week. Hang on, next week, right? Yeah, I'll see you again the next webinar. Alright, thank you all. See you.